War of Rights introduced many weapons that were used during the Maryland campaign of 1862, ranging from the old smoothbore Springfield M1842 to the advanced Sharps rifle M1859. But before we go into the rifles themselves, we need to know how to load and shoot them. Once you first arrive onto the battlefield or training camp, you notice that you cannot shoot since you have not loaded the rifle. Pressing R will start your loading process, and if you ever want to cancel your reload, just hit R again. All rifles except for the Sharps rifle M1859 will reload in 20 seconds while standing and 21 seconds while kneeling, which means you have an advantage and disadvantage for both reloading stances. The Sharps rifle M1859 on the other hand reloads in 9 seconds while standing and 10 seconds while kneeling, but this fast reloading rifle is only found in the hands of expert sharpshooters on the Union side. Now to firing the rifle. First, right click once, which puts you into the at the ready stance, telling your captain that you're ready to fire. Once your captain yells aim, hold right click which makes you aim, but you notice your gun will be swaying in any direction. The swaying is dependent on a lot of factors from stamina to rifle weight. If you are tired, it will be harder for you to hold up the rifle for extended periods of time. If you have your bayonet equipped, the weight of the bayonet will also make your rifle sway. It will take a couple seconds to level out your rifle, which means that you'll get a better shot if you hold your fire. Once you are ready to fire, click the left mouse button. Now you completed your final task to load and fire your weapon. If you want to fire again, just hit R and you will repeat the process. Your weapon will show wear and tear as time goes on in the process you put through them, upping the chance of misfire with every shot you fire. Please note that every company does their firing process differently. This is merely an example. Knowing where to shoot is very important. The best places to aim for the head and torso. Getting a headshot is an instant death, while a torso shot will be a slower death. Shooting the arms or legs will only be a wound at normal firing range. If your target is close to you, shot will be an instant death. Before we look at the muskets and rifles, first Texas Company H Sgt Hitsme and I compiled a list of all the weapons that every regiment uses on this spreadsheet. If you'd like to look at the spreadsheet some more, I'll put the link down below the video. We will start with the only musket available, the Springfield M1842, known for being outdated compared to the newer, more advanced rifles at the time. This smoothbore musket does have a unique advantage unlike any other weapon. The Springfield M1842 may use standard round ball loads or the modified buck and ball shots, consistent of the standard round ball with 3 additional buck pellets. Note that each pellet in round ball is capable of killing an enemy depending on pattern spread and shot placement. To use the buck and ball, press 2. If you want to switch back to the round ball, press 1. Please note that you only can change your ammunition type before you reload. The range of the Springfield M1842 is only viable up to 100 yards for the round ball and a shorter range for the buck and ball. Now we'll take a look at the rifled guns. The Mississippi M1841 was one of the first rifled weapons and percussion lock systems used by the Americans during the Mexican-American War. Named after the Mississippi Rifles unit led by Jefferson Davis during that war. Davis tried to arm his men with his rifle but came into conflict with his commanding general Winfield Scott, which started a lifelong feud between the two men. By the start of the Civil War, the rifle was considered old-fashioned but still reliable. Many soldiers considered themselves fortunate if they did get their hands on the Mississippi M1841. Even though these are rifled guns, the newer, more advanced rifle weapons can outperform the Mississippi M1841 due to its smaller caliber size. The pattern Enfield M1853 was developed by the Royal Small Arms Factory in the London borough of Enfield. This weapon was highly sought after by the Confederate Army to compete with the performance of the Springfield M1861. The Enfield was the second most used rifle in the war after the Springfield M1861. It is believed that Albert Sidney Johnston was killed by friendly fire from a Confederate soldier using a pattern Enfield M1853. In-game, the pattern Enfield M1853 has an effective range of 300 yards. The Lorenz M1854 was developed by an Austrian lieutenant named Joseph Lorenz. This rifle was the third most used weapon in the war. The Union Army purchased 227,000 of these Austrian rifles, and the Confederates ordered about 100,000. The rifle was well regarded by the troops to whom it was issued, including elements of the Iron Brigade. Some soldiers praised the 54 caliber gun for being short, light, and very easily cleaned, while others believed the Austrian guns to be outstanding weapons, but still second to the well-finished American arms. Developed by Sir Joseph Whitworth while trying to improve the pattern Enfield M1853, The Whitworth rifle saw extensive use in the hands of Confederate sharpshooters. The Whitworth rifle was considered the most accurate rifle used by either side of the war. At the Battle of Spotsylvania Courthouse in 1864, from a range of over 1,000 yards, a Confederate sharpshooter shot dead the Union General John Sedgwick moments after he said they could not hit an elephant at this distance. The Whitworth rifle is famously known for using a hexagonal rifling instead of the standard rifling method. A very few of the Whitworth rifles were outfitted with telescopic sights, which allowed for more precise accuracy. The Confederates employed the Whitworth rifle to counter the United States sharpshooters who were using the Sharps rifle M1859. The Springfield M1855 was the most used weapon at the beginning of the American Civil War until the introduction of the Springfield M1861. The Springfield M1855 used a Maynard tape primer which gave the hammer a distinct hum that tried to improve the percussion cap system that proved unreliable in battle. So the United States government abandoned that primer system and went back to the more cost-effective and reliable percussion lock system for their Springfield M1861 variants. With an effective range of 200 to 300 yards, the Springfield M1855 was still heavily used workhorse for both sides of the American Civil War. The Springfield M1861 proved to be the most cost-effective and used weapon of the American Civil War. Over 1 million were manufactured. The Springfield M1861 served as a starting point for several breech-loading rifles and the Springfield M1863. With a range of 300 to 400 yards, the Springfield M1861 was favored for its range, accuracy, and reliability. The Sharps rifle M1859, created by Christian Sharps in 1848, the Sharps rifle M1859 was one of the first breech-loading rifles in the world, but was not sought after until 1863 because many officers thought it was an ammunition waster and costly compared to the Springfield M1861. Union generals refused to purchase the weapon until ordered to do so by President Lincoln after witnessing a demonstration of the weapon on a platform by Hiram Burnand. Only 11,000 were created, and the weapons were primarily issued to sharpshooter regiments. Many famous regiments got their hands on these weapons, like the 1st United States Sharpshooters and the 13th Pennsylvania Reserve Infantry Regiment, or better known as the 42nd Pennsylvania Infantry Regiment, who are universally known as the Pennsylvania Bucktails. These are the only rifles and muskets to be available in-game as a technical alpha. If more come out, I'd gladly cover the newer rifles that I can get my hands on. Thanks for watching. Hopefully I'll see you all on the battlefield.